And I will sanctify my great name, which was profaned among the heathen, which ye have profaned in the midst of them. And the heathen shall know that I am the Lord, saith the Lord God, when I shall be sanctified in you before their eyes. For I will take you from among the heathen, and gather you out of all countries, and will bring you into your own land. Then will I sprinkle clean water upon you, and ye shall be clean from all your filthiness.
Devil's on the move and the world's gone crazy. Yeah. Police in the street shooting down black babies. Glory, hallelujah for the young and the innocent. Yeah. Run for your life. The time has come for us to strengthen our defenses. Yeah, Babylon, oh, we won't be long. Oh, and we'll be going back to Zion soon. We're leaving Babylon and going back to Zion. We're leaving Babylon, yo, going back to Zion. Yeah,
From all your idols will I cleanse you. A new heart also will I give you, and a new spirit will I put within you. And I will take away the stony heart out of your flesh, and I will give you an heart of flesh.
You know, I never, ever, never let the devil get the best of me. Yeah. I saw the preacher taking nickels from the welfare list. Oh, daddy, oh, for the young and the innocent. Yeah, yeah. Protect the riot. It was in my senses. Yeah, you know it won't be long. Whoa, and we'll be going back to Zion soon. We're leaving Babylon, going back to Zion. Yeah, we're leaving Babylon, yo. Going back to Zion. Yeah, we are.
And I will put my spirit within you, and cause you to walk in my statutes. And ye shall keep my judgments and do them. And ye shall dwell in the land that I gave to your fathers. And ye shall be my people, and I will be your God.
Goodness gracious, God have mercy. Sing it, yo.
I will also save you from all your uncleannesses, and I will call for the corn, and will increase it, and lay no famine upon you. And I will multiply the fruit of the tree, and the increase of the field, that ye shall receive no more reproach of famine among the heathen. Then shall ye remember your own evil ways, and your doings that were not good, and shall loathe yourselves in your own sight for your iniquities and for your abominations. Not for your sakes do I this, saith the Lord God, be it known unto you. Be ashamed and confounded for your own ways, O house of Israel.
By advertising on YouTube, I grow my business by
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Kakwadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS, whom rule well, teach well, being great examples to his younger brothers, and peace and blessing salutations to the hopeful elect out there pushing his word in truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the believers, the listeners, whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah. All right, and what I want to get into this afternoon, all right, is dealing with, a video I seen, dealing with, war updates, updates on other things, and pretty much, it's showing where we at, because at the end of the day, there's two major, all right, prophecies that we await. Okay, and that's the prophecy of World War III and the prophecy of the MOTB, which is the Sea Hill. Those are the two major prophecies that we're waiting to come to pass, because that's when we get out of here. And leading up to that, it's going to be chaos. It's going to be plagues. It's going to be different pestilences. It's going to be famine, which war causes famine. Okay, but we're going to see the earth get very chaotic leading up into these two, plagues. All right, these two last major prophecy, which is the Third World War and the Sea Hill. Okay, in which the Sea Hill will be made mandatory before World War III kicks off in a major way. Okay, but everything, the stage is set for this war when it kick off. All right, to be a swift war. Okay, like the war in Ukraine is really not a war. That's Russia pretty much occupying Ukraine in preparation for the major war that it's going to have with the West. Okay, with Europe and America. Okay, when in that war, that's when you're going to see a lot of destructive power, all right, from these nations in the earth. Okay, and you're going to have other players involved as well. China, Iran, okay, North Korea. Okay, you're going to have other players in this war, all right, that's going to play a major factor, all right, in the destruction of America. But Russia has a major role in the destruction of America, and we get in this video, the main, topic, okay. the main thing that's going to be discussed is the importance of Russia, okay, within end time prophecy, So I'm gonna get a few precepts, and then I get the video, and we'll go from there, okay. Now it seemed like it didn't send out no notification, Y'all let me did it send out a notification? I know I ain't see one on my end, But yeah, they ain't been sending no notification with the GMS Kingdom Minded. If I do 5 live streams, maybe 1, get a notification. So if that's the case, they've been heavy shadow banning this channel. All right, this book of Revelation 9 and 12, it says, one woe is past, and there's one world war. And behold, there come 2 woes more hereafter. So the first war has passed, World War I. All right, then it was prophesied there will be 2 more woes, 2 more wars after. And one of these 2 has already happened. So now, only thing left is that Third World War. Okay? Well, these nations, all right, are going to clash, man. Okay? And we're finna see a lot of people. This war is going to kill billions of people, man. For sure, hundreds of millions. All right, well, this war is going to be the most destructive war, all right, since the earth was, man, because of the destructive power that these nations have. Okay, this is Joel 3 and 9 says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war. Wake up the mighty man, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. And this is the spirit that's in the earth. See, one thing about prophecy, all right, the Lord puts a spirit on particular men, on particular people, on particular nations to fulfill his prophecy, man, to fulfill his will. Prophecy is the will of the Lord playing out in the earth. Okay, the Lord is telling through prophecy, the Lord tells what he wants to do before he does it. Okay, and that's why it's so detailed. Like when you go into prophecy, it's detailed because this is what the Lord is going to do in the earth, man. Whether you believe it or not. Like the beloved brother Tazamak out of Memphis says, your belief is not needed when it comes to prophecy, man. Okay, the Lord is letting you know what will happen. All right, verse 10, it says, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak sound strong. Okay, and what you have is every nation, the majority of these nations have invested into their military to the point where they can be a factor, in this Third World War. Those nations that wasn't so strong, post World War II, all right, have since then became, all right, a factor militarily in the earth. Okay, China wasn't always all right. They didn't always have this military that they had. North Korea, they they didn't have the capabilities that they had, man. Iran, they didn't always have these capabilities, man. Okay, but for the fulfillment of prophecy, these nations, all right, the Lord has allowed these nations to be built up, okay, for this time, all right, and ultimately is to turn America into a desert, all right. That's the main goal in prophecy. One of the main goals of this world's war is to turn America, okay, into a desert, man. Okay, let's go here. Yep. So let's get this. I'm gonna go ahead and get ready to put this video up. So let me play this. Let me read this. All right, this is the brother I will award, Proverbs 21:1. The king's heart, okay, or his mind is in the hand of the Lord. As the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. Okay. And the Lord has these nations on war mode. Okay. The earth is on war mode. Everybody, before the actual fighting, you have these pieces being moved around. Okay, because the nations trying to put themselves in the best position before the war kicks off. Okay, and that's why Russia is in Ukraine, because that's going to be the entry point. Okay, going to invade the rest of Europe, man. Okay, and these European nations can't do a goddamn thing with Russia, man. Okay, they know that. All right, so I'm gonna play this. It's kind of long. It's an hour and 23 minutes long, but it's about 20 minutes that I want to get, and just expound on in the spirit. But I'll leave the link for it in the comment, and you brothers, all right, you can watch it, watch all of it. It's pretty informative. I'm gonna let it play, and we'll get into it.
God bless our fellow countrymen in Ohio and the women and families and children. This is the most horrific batch of bull manure and those mainstream accessories to murder, which people would call the press. They're silent because they're all controlled. And ladies and gentlemen, what we're watching is the controlled annihilation and genocide of the American people. That's the bottom line. And people can challenge that. Tell me, how do you feed people when there's nothing to feed them with? Tell me, how do you give them medical care when there's nothing to give them medical care with? And how do you do that all in a radioactive wasteland? You can't do it. Go ahead, sir.
Welcome to this Brighteon.com exclusive interview with Steve Quayle. This is called The Global Elite Genocidal War Against the American People. I'm Mike Adams, the founder of Brighteon.com, and I'm joined today by my friend and colleague and filmmaker, Steve Quayle from Genesis 6 Productions, or Gen6.com, and also SteveQuayle.com. This is the most important interview that I think we've ever conducted together, and we've done quite a few. Welcome, Steve. Thank you for joining me and taking the time. I know it's kind of a last-minute thing, but this is an emergency. Thank you for joining me.
Well, Mike, this is the most perilous time that I can remember happening in real time in over 35 years of broadcasting in real time. And so what I think is critical is that we're now seeing statements coming out of the IMF that billions of people are going to die. The war is going to happen. As you and I are on the interview right now, this Friday, we are seeing absolute movement of massive tanks and artillery, NATO movements into Romania, also into pre-staging to go into Ukraine. Every red line that Russia has stated would be their end red line. I'm telling you, Mike, when people don't realize that we, the West, have declared war on Russia. There's no doubt, there's no getting away from it. We in the West destroyed Nord Stream pipeline, no doubting it, bragging about it, the events that have taken place concerning it. And now we're watching in real time massive readings, people that monitor, Mike, the radiation levels around the whole world. Radiation monitoring site is basically, I've never seen such high counts of counts per minute. So it's really a critical time.
Steve, let me set the date for those watching, because and you asked me to give this to. Today is February 17th. It's a Friday, 2023. So we're coming up on the 1-year anniversary of Russia's launching of the special military operation into Ukraine, which I believe was February 24th of last year. Putin is about to give a speech. I believe that's next Tuesday. Does that sound correct? On the 21st?
Yes, 21st.
And in that speech, it's widely expected, although we don't know for sure, but it's expected that he's going to give an ultimatum to the West, or he may declare that he's just at war with the West. And Russia has already cut off all essentially communications, but also canceled all treaties with the West. And then you had something, Steve, about China and communications with China. You want to share that with us right now?
Sure. And as we're on this interview, ladies and gentlemen, China has just broken all communications with the United States. The military hotlines, they work, but China will not respond in any way, shape, or form. So it's interesting because there's a famous statement, Mike, by von Clausewitz in his classic piece on war: when goods don't cross borders, armies do. And when communications cease, unfortunately, that's the worst sign in the world, because something's getting ready to happen. And that's something, I'm afraid, is going to involve Taiwan, a nuclear first strike on the United States of America. And ladies and gentlemen, our Defense Department, actually it should be called the Offense Department, is just saying, well, Russia doesn't mean what they mean, and they're not going to do what they say they're going to do.
All right, so just kind of show you what he's speaking of. Okay, this is what you have. Okay, if a brother can post sound of battle, I believe it's Jeremiah 50 or 22, or either 51 or 22. Brother can post it, and any precept dealing with war, brothers put them up. Let's get it, man. This is this is leading to that get down. Now, I want to show this map real quick. We'll go back to the video. I want to show this map. It's good to be familiar with that area over there, with Russia and Eastern Europe. So let's get this map. Let me know if y'all can see it pretty good. Y'all just let me know if y'all can see it. This map of Russia and Eastern Europe. Okay. I might blow it up. I might can blow up a little more. Let's see. What can I say? Yeah. Okay, let me go here. This might be a little better. Go here. All right, so what you have, okay, you have Russia here in the orange. Now, you have Ukraine, which is where Russia is pretty much occupying Ukraine. Now, once you get past Ukraine, now you've entered into Europe, okay, what they call Eastern Europe. So what he's saying is NATO is pretty much mustering troops and military hardware right here on Romania, okay, which is the border of Ukraine. All right, and you have Poland, NATO is part of NATO. So pretty much NATO and Russia are nose to nose over here in Ukraine. Okay. And once this war goes hot, okay, it's going to be a slaughter. They're going to get into some of the capabilities of Russia. Okay. And you got Belarus, all right, or Belarus, okay, which is pro-Russian. So you have Russian hardware right here on Belarus. Okay. And all these small, okay, countries, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, okay, they border Russia and Belarus, okay? So you have pretty much Russia and the EU, all right, nose to nose over here in this region, okay? So they're constantly moving and putting, okay, this military hardware, all right, into position in this region, okay? So this is where we at. So let's get this. Then we go back to the video. It's wartime, brothers. This is what everything is leading up to. All right, so let's get the book of Jeremiah 50 and 22. It's from Avalon Award. It says a sound of battle is in the land and of great destruction. Okay. The atmosphere for war is here. Okay. And all these major moves militarily, because right now is a game of putting military hardware and troops in particular positions, getting prepared for any day invasions, getting prepared to counterattack, getting prepared to do first strikes. Okay. So we're seeing things being moved, all right, in order for that to happen. So as they develop the infrastructure for the CBDC and they get, things ready for the CHIP, the war is still, all right, being coordinated as well. Okay. All these prophecies tie into each other. All right. And the result of this war, America is going to be a desert. Okay. Now this is Avalon War. Okay. Jeremiah 15:23 says, how is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How has Babylon become a desolation among the nations? Okay. And this third war is going to be the how. Okay. Because these nations are going to turn on America, man. It says, I have laid a snare for thee, Jeremiah 15:24. I have laid a snare for thee, and thou art also taken, O Babylon, and thou was not aware. Thou art found and also caught, because thou hast striven against the Lord. Okay, and America is the land, all right, of anti-Messiah. Okay, as we seen earlier, with the whole, Mary, Sierra, I don't need a man anthem. Okay, and she's married, which but they push anything that's against order. Okay, what the Lord set up, this place pushes against it. The brat, okay, being pregnant. See, this is why we see all this wickedness. It's cute, it's funny. Congratulations. All this silly shit. That's the Sierra we missing. As people congratulating and condoning wickedness, guess what? There's a war being prepared for this place, man. Okay, there's missiles that are being built as we speak just to come here. Okay. Well, so let's get back to the video.
That will go down in history as the greatest act of delusion that I believe has ever been promulgated by any defensive force or any military of any time. So that's
right.
where we're at. Defense Department is ready to happen. And that's something I'm afraid is going to involve Taiwan, a nuclear first strike on the United States of America. And ladies and gentlemen, our Defense Department, actually should be called the Offense Department, is just saying, well, Russia doesn't mean what they mean and they're not going to do what they say they're going to do. That will go down in history as the greatest act of delusion that I believe has ever been promulgated by any defensive force or any military of any time. So that's right. Where we're at right on this Friday afternoon.
Our State Department is delusional, they're arrogant, they're incompetent, and they're woke. And they're so woke that they're going to walk us into World War III, which is almost a tongue twister. I know you'll appreciate that, Steve. Woke walking into World War III. But I mean, I don't mean to make light of it. This is the most serious situation we've ever faced. We are closer to global nuclear annihilation than we ever were during the Cuban Missile Crisis. Now, one more thing I want to bring in here too, because you and I are going to have, I think, hopefully an extensive discussion. There has been a bomb unleashed over America in Ohio and Pennsylvania. And this was all apparently deliberate. When they set fire to the vinyl chloride spill from that train wreck in Ohio, they unleashed a massive chemical plume of dioxins and other chemicals, phosgene gas, which, as you know, Steve, is World War I chemical weapon gas that can be deadly even at very minuscule exposures. This appears to have been.
Now, another thing dealing with what happened in Ohio, because they touch on that too, you know, because it's a war. Also, it's a war on all sides. America's at war with its own people, okay? America's at war with its own people and also is at war with the world, you know? So the Lord has America on a crash course to just be devastated internally and externally, man. Okay? America is just on the crash course just to be destroyed in every fashion. All right, coming into the times that we're coming into, man. If a brother could, real quick, Isaiah 19. Let's get the book of Isaiah 19. Okay. And let's get Isaiah chapter 19, verses 3 and 4. Okay. Nah, brother. Yeah, everything, you know, we use on StreamYard is free. You know, yeah, you just gotta share the screen. But everything on StreamYard is free. You know, but going back to the point, now the toxins that was on those trains, they was already, you know, deadly as they were. You know, the toxins, you know, it was already, you know, poisonous chemicals. But, you know, this guy, Mike Adams, goes into how when they lit, you know, when they set those chemicals on fire, they created even more, okay, of a deadly, all right, chemical dioxide, man. Okay. So the America is at war with its people and with everyone else in the earth, man. Okay. Hey, the Lord has America on a crash course to a horrible, horrible fall, man. Okay. Let's go here. This is Brother Awalam of War, Isaiah 19 and 3 says, "And the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof, and they shall seek to the idols and to the charmers and to them that have familiar spirits," okay, and to the wizards, okay, because America is you know the source and the motherland of witchcraft now. America is the homeland of witchcraft now, and idolatry and all these other, you know, bugged out religions and doctrines. Okay, it says, "And the Egyptians, all right, which are you modern day Americans, will I give over into the hand of a cruel Lord." Okay, and your government, okay, and the lords of this land, all right, they have become cruel to his inhabitants, to his citizens, man. It says, and a fierce king shall rule over them, said the Lord, all right, the Lord Yahweh Shema of hosts. So we are seeing America is under cruel leadership, okay? A cruel leadership to where they're at war with his own people through the food, through the air, okay, through propaganda, okay, every way you can think of, man. You see? So
Been done on purpose. It might have been sabotage to cause the train to wreck, but it was deliberate to ignite it. And so, just to set the stage, Stephen, I'll turn it back to you. We're dealing with what it looks like war with Russia, perhaps announced next week, but already understood. Already understood. War with China, perhaps also coming at the same time, because China would want to synchronize with Russia so that America is forced into a two-front war, and then a war on the American people by unleashing this toxic explosion of phosgene gas and dioxins, which are deadly at like parts per trillion concentrations, unleashing that. Oh, and by the way, Steve, it takes the half-life of that in the soils is 50 to 100 years. And as you know, it takes 10 half-lives before you can consider it gone. So we're talking 5 centuries to 1,000 years before those dioxins are gone from those farms where they've dropped this. They've ruined the farmland for 500 to 1,000 years. So that's the stage of where we are. Your thoughts, Steve?
Well, when you take the heartland of America and you release the most devastating chemical weapons attack, and that's what it is. Look, someone, whether they're claiming the brakes got hot, someone that didn't release the brake, or someone that intentionally meant to cause this event to happen, the same people who are burning the warehouses, food, that are destroying the farmland, they're all being orchestrated out of Washington, D.C., Mike. The people of this country got to understand war has been declared on you. Us, we. And ladies and gentlemen, when you get the head of the, what I call it, the EPA,
extreme population assassins.
Yes, there you go.
Yes, that was your, you came up with that. I used it.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And so the thing is that when we talk in the context of all these events coming into focus right now, we're talking, ladies and gentlemen, about 250 million Americans at risk of perishing by 2025, according to the Deagle Report, Rockefeller Foundation. Their population growth, zero population growth plans are already in effect. But Mike, we're talking about a chemical weapon in phosgene that's obviously under treaty, and the CBW, chemical biological weapons treaties, don't matter anymore. And while we're talking about that, we're also seeing in the Ukraine, there's a parallel. When you have 40 and I'm going to say this, I'm going to spell it, 40 FORTY labs in Ukraine that are developing bioweapons and chemical weapon attack weapons against Russia. Look, they are really, they being Russia, are not going to put up with that. So as you and I are on this podcast right now, broadcast, we have so many converging avenues of destruction against the United States of America. And ladies and gentlemen, Monday's President's Day. And not only is President Putin going to speak on the 21st, but it's already been stated, Mike, that on the 24th, and I'll give it right back to you, on the 24th, something's going to be done to Russia to intentionally provoke them. There's speculation that maybe the United Nations, under, of course, United States control, is going to cause or kick out Russia or take them off the Security Council, which will cause an immediate backlash. There is no good faith in the United States. Ladies and gentlemen, we've broken every treaty. We've had so many, quote, murdered children around the world. And we're talking about, we're talking about the potential right now of watching all this happen. even starting to take place next week. The former, how do I say this? The former denial is no longer, there's nothing in the cards or in the events we're seeing that can deny this now. Even the head of the IMF said, prepare. The war with Russia is going to cause billions of lives to be lost. And Mike,
They
they're
know
so cavalier about that.
Yeah, they know
Go
it.
ahead.
Well, that's their goal. They want to destroy billions of lives. Now, okay, so let me mention again today that we're recording this. What is it? Friday, February 17th, 2023. I don't know how quickly we can get this out. It might be Monday before it's out. But folks, the week that we are referring to, this could be the most dangerous week in the history of this planet. I mean, that we know of. Maybe, since the previous destruction of ancient civilizations, we're talking about the potential for the total destruction of human civilization as we know it. And the only people that are going to survive this are people who get prepared.
And the only people that's going to survive, okay, are the elect. Okay, within America, the only people going to survive is the elect. Okay, hey, and in these other nations, there's going to be a lot of death. Okay, and there's only one way out as an Israelite. That's through Yahushua. There's only one way out. Okay, as an Israelite, and that's through Yahushua. Okay. So I'm gonna skip over that because they're gonna go in there and spill, okay, of going into these little survival tactics and all. No, ain't nothing you can do. Okay, if you're not part, okay, of the elect on the soils of America, you're done. Okay, if you're not a part of the elect and you are on the soils of America when those nukes are launched, you're done. Okay, let's get this real quick. This is from the brother Awalam of War. Okay, and this is Isaiah 34:5. It said, "For my sword shall be bathed in heaven," which that sword is the nukes, man. Okay, behold, it shall come down upon Idumea, which is modern day America at this time, and upon the people of my curse to judgment. Okay, because the people in America are here for judgment. You're in America for two things: judgment or deliverance. Okay, and only deliverance is open to Israel, and only the elect of Israel will be delivered. Okay, so if you're in America, you're here for two things, man: destruction, okay, or deliverance, man. And we pray that we fall into the mercy of Yahweh Shema Shah through deliverance. Verse 6, it said, "The sword of the Lord is filled with blood. It is made fat with fatness, and the blood of lambs and the blood of goats, and for the kidney and the fat of the kidney of rams, for the Lord have a sacrifice in Basra and great slaughter in the land of Idumea." America will be like a giant altar, and it's going to be set on fire. Okay, America is an altar that hasn't been set on fire yet, man. This is the lake of fire that John, the Revelator seen. He seen the whole landmass of America on fire. And Isaiah is describing it as an altar. Okay? Because you will put the animal, the sacrifice on the altar, and you will pretty much, the altar will be engulfed in fire. Okay? And this is how the Lord likens America, man. Okay, and guess who's the animals, man? The people. Okay, he's referring to people when it's saying the blood of lambs and goats. Okay, the kidneys of rams. Okay, it's the people. Okay, that are walking around this altar of America, man. All right. So I'm gonna skip past this when he's talking about survival tips, because ain't no survival tips. You're gonna be through if you're not of the elect, man. I'm gonna speed it up a little bit too. Let's see.
By the way, I don't talk in kilotons. I only talk in megatons.
That's, that's how many times larger than Hiroshima Hiroshima was what, 16 kilotons? So
Yes.
we're talking crazy, insane, much larger than that.
Yeah,
That's-
kilotons are 1,000 tons equivalent of TNT. Trinitrotoluene, that's what that stands for. But megatons are millions of tons. So, ladies and gentlemen, fuel air explosives, that's another word for a hyperbaric weapon. The Russians are already have used them. And here's the thing: what is there to be gained by provoking Russia into a nuclear confrontation when, Mike, it'll take us 5 minutes to launch if we can get anything out of the ground or in the air, and Russia's 90 seconds. 90 seconds.
And on
Now,
top of
brother,
that, Steve, on top of that, I'm sorry to interrupt, but the former one of the top military leaders.
So he's saying that it would take America 5 minutes to get off a missile, to get a missile launch. But he said it will only take Russia 90 seconds. That's a minute and a half. Okay? You do the math. All right? If it takes me, all right, a minute and 30 seconds to launch and it takes you 5, well, hey, I done did 3 launches before you got one off. Okay? Russia is equipped to fulfill prophecy. That's another thing. When the Lord has a nation or a person to fulfill prophecy, he's going to make sure that their nation or their person is equipped to do everything within prophecy, man. When Alexander, when it was time for him to be their he-goat in Daniel the 8th chapter, okay, he was equipped, okay, with everything he needed, because his father pretty much set the stage for him to be able to invade, into Asia and the Persian Empire, okay, because his father pretty much united, a lot of the Greek city-states, militaries. Alexander inherited the military because he had to fulfill prophecy. Okay, when the nation is written in prophecy to do something significant, okay, within prophecy, the Lord is going to equip them. They're going to have an advantage, okay, in the earth to fulfill prophecy, man. All right, so pretty much Russia can get off almost 3.5 launches of nuclear missiles before America can get off one. Okay, you figure it out. You see, finished.
Leaders out of the UK just said a few days ago that the entire British army would last 8 days in a war with Russia. That's a week. That's a week, and that the ammo would run out in less than that week.
He said the British military will last 8 days in a war with Russia. Okay? The EU can't do nothing with Russia. All right? Them little nations that's between Russia and those EU nations, Poland, Romania, okay, Lithuania, Sweden, they don't stand a chance. They wouldn't make the weekend. Okay, they'll be done before you get through watching your favorite TV series. Okay, Russia gonna fulfill prophecy, man. God and may God. All right, we'll get into it.
And the U.S. doesn't have ammo because it sent it all to Ukraine. So there are no European forces, there are no NATO forces that can stop Russia. Period. None.
And here's the other thing I think people, and I'm not trying to correct you, but I think they claim they wouldn't last more than a couple of days. And so whether it's a couple of days or a week, and even the French military soldier sent to Hal Turner, I guess you'd say the state or condition of the French military. He says they only have 50 Leclerc, basically armored artillery pieces at work. He said they wouldn't last but a couple of days.
The French military, it's like a walking museum.
Yep. It is. And Mike, even today, I'm in Bozeman, Montana. We have F-18s at our airport, which is called Gallatin National Field or Yellowstone National Airport. And the sucker, one of them took off, headed to the east, The east would be obviously the east into the Grand Forks area on full afterburners. We also have had in the last week 2 B-52 bombers in Bozeman, Montana. Something's really happening. I don't know if they're dispersing the bombers and the fighters that are still left in the continental United States, but this is happening. That just happened, by the way, 2 hours ago. And so 2 hours ago, my time, that would have been around 1:19 p.m. But the critical mass that's building now, and I'm telling you this won't just be a critical mass. We're already in a critical mess. And the critical mess is
point.
we can't even feed our troops. We can't even pay the troops. And ladies and gentlemen, we can't even begin to put into perspective how there's no one watching our borders. That's obvious. And there's no one coming to your aid. And I'm telling everybody, I'm serious. Get right with Jesus Christ, because we are at a time that is escaping the majority of Americans, if not all of the Americans, minus a few percent. And ladies and gentlemen, here's the thing, Mike, there's no food coming to the shelves. All the food that's been supposedly, this is important, we got to cover this, that has been contaminated or suspected that. I posted last week on my website, I'm sure you saw it too, truckers talking about 300 tractor trailer loads a day of food going into the secret government salt mines in whatever, Kansas or Missouri.
Oh, they're getting ready.
That's 300 semi trucks. So the thing is that we're watching, in essence, the planned destruction. This is what really makes me furious. 250 million people, ladies and gentlemen. That's a lot of Americans. And now the lackadaisical thing, as Mike, you and I are on this broadcast together, the president has denied any federal aid or assistance to I'm just going to say Oahu, Ohio. Okay, there's not going to be any federal assistance.
Unreal. Because it's a massive cover-up. It's like Chernobyl.
Yep. Yeah, it's egregious. It is so beyond even anything that people can imagine. And then you get the head of the EPA again saying he'd drink the water. Yet when he's offered a glass of it, and it looks like, gee, what's all that strange film color in it? He didn't take it up or take it on camera. So, ladies and gentlemen, we watched 9/11. We heard the stories of the authorities telling people to stay in the buildings and not flee. You remember those stories? The people that didn't flee died, and you've got to pay attention. Even Aaron Brockovich said, look, when you see what you see, flee. And what we're saying today, everyone, is when we're telling you what's happening in real time, as this broadcast is being recorded, these events are taking place.
Yeah,
and
Steve,
go ahead, I'm sorry.
Okay, by the way, let me say I've got an expert in dioxin toxicity that's going to be joining me sometime in the next couple of days, okay? So that interview is coming out, and I want to share that with you, Steve, in case you want to talk to this person as well. But there's breaking news that's on RT right now. Moscow warns the EU over seized assets. Turns out that the EU, all this money they stole from Russia, the central bank money, I think it was $300+ billion worth. Now the EU wants to give that money to Ukraine. I mean, think about it. Like, someone steals your money and then hands it to your enemy to buy a gun to shoot you with it. Russia says, this is from Maria Zakharova, says that this is, quote, barbarism. She's the foreign ministry spokesperson. She says, if necessary, Moscow is ready to impose a tit-for-tat response, she added. Now, what do you think that means, Steve? A tit-for-tat response from Russia?
Well, Russia has the capability not only to cyber attack the financial centers of the SWIFT, the international transfer of funds that they were kicked out of. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, you've got to ask yourself this. Not one of the, good night, the plans that we had to cut Russia off, not one of them has been successful whatsoever. You're watching the destruction, the implosion, the suicide, the harikari of what's taken place against the United States. The Sanctimonious sanctions, in essence, the self-righteous sanctions, was nothing more than a cover for absolute theft. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife or anything that is thy neighbor's. And here we have, and this is sad, we sat as Americans and didn't scream over the stealing, the seizing of Russian assets. You know, I mean, listen, this is what's crazy. And Mike, this is a sticking point. I'm told it's approaching close to $1 trillion in seized Russian assets.
Oh man. And that's, see, this.
So what they're speaking of, you know, all these so-called sanctions, okay, on Russia, they pretty much were just taking Russia assets in these international banks. So now they like, well, we're gonna start using this money that we seized from Russia and just start giving it to Ukraine. Okay, see, they're doing a lot. Okay, like there's a lot of things that they're doing to Russia, and that's why Russia is just mounting up for war. Russia is done talking. You know, that's why scriptures say, "I will stir up the Medes." I don't know if a brother got there yet. Let's get that, Isaiah 13:17. Okay, the Medes are being stirred up because they keep doing they keep doing one act of war after another dealing with Russia. So Russia just mounting up. You know, Russia just in the phase where they mounting up. Okay, they just posted up in Ukraine. Okay, they're constantly setting their nuclear bombers. Okay, all throughout Belarus, which is right there on the border of Eastern Europe. Okay, they have dispatched their nuclear submarines. Okay, and those Russian nuclear submarines are so stealth, you really don't know where they at, man. They can just pop up, all right, in Houston over there in the Gulf. They can pop up over there in Cali. They can pop up over there by New York. Okay, and those nukes have a lot of destruction power, man. Them nuclear submarines, if they just get off 10 of those missiles that's carrying multiple warheads, it's gonna be a major problem over here in the West, man. Okay, so you know, it says, this is Brother Awalam Award, Isaiah 13:17 said, "Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them," which is the Russians. Okay, and Russia's being stirred up. The Lord is causing all these things and these nations to prick. Because right now, the EU and America is like they picking on Russia being petty, man. Okay, but while they being petty, Russia is just going into war mode. Okay, it said, "We shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it." Yeah, so they don't care about the sanctions and the assets that they seize, and they still mounted up for war because that's prophecy, man. Okay, so I'm gonna let it play.
The West proves that it is not compatible with a civilized society. When you just steal your neighbor's money and then you try to deplatform and then you use that money to arm their enemies and you break all of your agreements and your treaties, which is what the West has done repeatedly again and again. I mean, they're trying to get Russia to respond with nuclear weapons. This is the other thing we have to talk about. These are not accidents. We're not sleepwalking into this. We are being woke walked into it on purpose. They want Russia to nuke American cities. And so a couple of questions. Steve, do you agree with that? And secondly, what are the most likely cities that are going to be nuked first if this happens?
Well, I can tell you point blank, I know that because they published it, they being the Russians. And this is important for people to understand. They are not all bluff, as I've heard them say. The only ones bluffing is the United States. We can't even test any of our intercontinental ballistic missiles out of our silos because they're one use. Anytime you see a missile, an ICBM being tested, it's taken out of a silo or it's an auxiliary missile. But Mike, here's the thing. There is a direct provocation because, again, 250 million Americans are in the sights of what's going to happen. Now, that's just in the U.S. If you take what's going to happen to the NATO capitals, the number one target in the United States right now is Manhattan, New York. Now, isn't it interesting that the Manhattan Project, just for people that may not be aware of this, was the top secret project or code name for the development of the atom bomb by under the auspices and guidance of a guy named General Groves, Groves. So isn't it fascinating that we, the United States, the only ones to ever use nuclear weapons in a war against Japan, we're now seeing Russia targeting two primary targets. Number one, Manhattan, and number two, the District of Criminals, Crumbs, and Slime, okay? Washington, D.C. But in addition to that, they've sent a list of targets of deep underground military bases. Every single military base that the United States built during the Cold War wasn't built to withstand bunker busters of 25 and 50 megaton nuclear weapons, because even after the Russians only exploded a Tsar Bomba, which was supposedly 100 megatons, and they dialed it back to 50 because they didn't really know what it would be like with 50 megatons. Ladies and gentlemen, the 180, I want those numbers to fit in, but the very first two targets, Washington, D.C. and Manhattan, New York.
Yep. Okay. Washington, D.C. and Manhattan, New York. But also, it seems to me, you know how the United States has been threatening or promising to really upgrade its munitions production over the next couple of years to try to produce up to 90,000 artillery rounds per month. But that's 2 or 3 years away. I mean, they can only produce a fraction of that right now. Russia has beat the West into the industrial production of munitions. But it seems that if nuclear weapons are launched against the United States, they would also, of course, want to hit manufacturing or resource supply chain cities. So we're talking ports, right? We're probably talking
Absolutely.
Houston, Norfolk,
And
Virginia. Go ahead.
Yeah. Everything that you can name, okay, from Seattle, even down to Palmdale, California, wherever America's defense industry is, Boeing in Seattle, the deep underground military bases in Nevada, in Wyoming, obviously Area 51, obviously S4.
And ultimately, it's going to be the whole land. Okay. I think a brother put that, brother can put that in Zephaniah 1:18. I thought I seen it earlier. Okay. No, it ain't gonna just be this. No, yep, the brother. Yep. The brother put it up the water. All right. This is our award, Zephaniah 1:18. Neither their silver nor gold shall be able to deliver them in the day of the Lord's wrath. Okay. So everybody that chased the bag and got the bag and flex with the bag on Instagram. Well, in wartime, that's not going to matter. Okay. But the whole land shall be devoured. The whole land. Okay. It ain't just going to be Washington and Manhattan. No, the whole land shall be devoured by the fire of his jealousy. Okay. For he shall make even a speedy riddance of all them that dwell in the land. So it's going to be the whole landmass of America. Okay, not specific states. All right, not states that have, military, industrial, manufacturers. Like, nah, it's going to be the whole land. Okay, warheads are going to shower the whole land of America. Okay, until it's a desert. Okay, until this place is a desert, man. Okay.
The places that the military, the U.S. military, has pretty much built underground. Now, this is something people got to understand. America is not on a war footing in production. We don't even have the raw materials or any longer the ability to gear up for war production. Russia hasn't quit since we started betraying them on the Minsk agreement. Russia's able. Now, listen, this is truth. This is not propaganda. I got into the preparedness business almost 40, 50 years ago when it was all about mutual assured destruction. And the conclusion I came to back then, my very first catalog, was about nuclear war survival skills, explaining what atomic, but I said this: he who can shelter their population, the nation that cares for their population already has won, no matter whether who launches what on a first strike, second strike. And Russia can do that. They can move 40 million people, and already are, by the way. People don't understand this. Russia's able to not only shelter its people, but its defense industries and everything. Look, this is the truth. Look up Yamantau Mountain, Yamantau. It's an underground city in the Urals. They have full-time production. We don't even have any more Javelin anti-tank missiles because we gave 51,000 of them. That's about 10 times the amount of Russian tanks. What's happened is all of American taxpayers funded weaponry to defend the United States of America have been sold off or given off. And ladies and gentlemen, remember, the entity in the White House, notice the word I'm using, has left over $100 billion worth of arms and ammunition, the best stuff we had in Afghanistan. And hardly anybody made a stink about it, except a lot of the military guys that had friends and had people we've raised up. But Mike, you've got the Nazis now, and this is critical. When Russia's talking about the Nazis in the Ukraine, they're serious. I wrote a book. This isn't a pitch for the book. Empire Beneath the Ice, How the Nazis Won World War II. And they did. And now coming out of the Ukraine are people finally showing their colors, the Nazi swastika and, the Heil Hitler salutes. But Russia lost 27 million people. And ladies and gentlemen, they're not going to sit watching a armored, massive amount of tanks and artillery, etc. They're not going to sit and wait for that. All they got to do is go 90 seconds, boom, they're gone. And Mike, I think this. Everybody says, "Oh, Russia's running out of weapons and stuff." Are you kidding me? They just put their northern fleet. They just put their northern fleet to sea. 2 days ago? And they are all armed with hypersonic nuclear weapons. When President Putin said this,
that's a really good point.
The West can't stop it. The West can't intercept it. That's absolutely true.
Okay.
We
Next
cannot
question.
stop it. We cannot intercept it.
I want to ask you about the possibility of Germany turning against NATO. We'll get to that in just a second. So, Steve, I want to ask you, since America, we now know because of Cy Hirsch and his, independent journalism expose of the origins of, the act of war and terrorism about the Nord Stream pipelines. We know that the United States essentially blew up the Nord Stream pipelines. The Norwegians took part in the detonation. We understand that. This was an act of war against Germany, so a NATO member, a NATO ally. This is supposed to be friends. The U.S. is supposed to be friends with Germany. Germany is supposed to be providing Leopard 2 tanks against Russia. And by the way, 88 tanks. And you know what 88 means in the Nazi. I just learned this last week, but apparently 88 stands for HH, and you can imagine what that means. So that's Germany saying HH to Russia. But isn't Germany going to be looking at America now and saying, wait a second, if our own ally, America, is blowing up our infrastructure, which is causing the shutdown of BASF, which makes the urea, which makes the fertilizer, Germany is losing its industrial base. The loss of electricity from the natural gas loss has resulted in the shutdown of 70 to 80% of the metals smelting operations across Germany and Western Europe. You can't make munitions if you don't have metal smelting. You have to have iron ore. You have to have chromium. You have to have copper and zinc. You want stainless steel. You want, shells for artillery. You have to have smelting operations, and they are not functioning. So your thoughts, Steve, is there a tipping point where Germany will say, to hell with these allies in America? They're worse than, quote, the enemy. Are we close to that point?
I believe we are, and everybody needs to understand when we blew up the Nord Stream pipeline, we ended up charging Germany 5 times more for liquid natural gas than they're paying Russia.
So America is a hell of an ally, okay? Because when they blew up the Nord Stream 2, that pipeline that ran into Germany. Okay, now Germany has to pay 5 times more than what they was paying, okay, Russia for, all right, natural gas. So now they put more pressure on Germany, all right, economy. And then, like you said, like Mike Adams was saying, you can't smelt metal, so now you can't make munitions. So now Germany is like a sitting duck. Okay, here it is, Russia's at the doorsteps. Okay, and Germany is like, wait, what you did to Nord Stream 2, that affected my infrastructure. So now Germany is making more sense for Germany to deal with Russia, man. Okay, and this is how it's supposed to play out. We know how it play, you know. But what, Germany is one of those 10 horns. Okay, so when you go, I think a brother posted it earlier. All right, this is on Revelation 17:17. The brother Abraham Award said, "For the Most High have put in their hearts to fulfill His will and to agree and to give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of the Most High shall be fulfilled." And these EU nations have given their authority to this NATO, this beast system. Okay, they have pretty much forfeited certain, sovereignty powers by being in line with this beast system. Okay, to the point where America, all right, and other nations have the ability to affect their economy. Okay, and the EU nations are getting pissed. Verse 16 says, "In the 10 horns which thou sawest, which Germany is one of the 10 horns, upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh, and burn her with fire." Okay, so yes, these EU nations are going to turn on America, man. It's gonna start as a war of Russia and its eastern allies, Iran, China, North Korea, okay, against the West, okay, and its allies, EU, America, and NATO nations. All right, but it's gonna turn into everyone. Everyone is gonna shoot missiles on America, man. Okay, the problem of the earth. You see, and brothers can get those precepts in Jeremiah, I believe it's 50. All day that bend the bow, let's get them up there, man. Let's see. Let's get Jeremiah 50 and 50 and 14 and 15, But I'm gonna let it play. Now he's gonna go to a dream. I think he had it. I don't know. Hey, he could have had the dream or not, because the Lord say, pour his spirit out on all flesh, but he's gonna have a dream that it's pretty accurate, man. So he's gonna go into it. I'm gonna let him go into it.
I believe that you're going to see 2 nations break away and join with Russia. I don't know at what point, but I think it's very, very soon. First being Germany. They don't have the power. The German people are not only very proud, they're industrious. They make some of the best stuff in the world. Their machining is exquisite. But beyond that, Mike, you've got the German people paying beyond what they can afford for electricity by a factor of 5x. Oh, that's interesting. That's 5 times more than Russia was charging them. I believe that you will see Germany and France join with Russia against the United States. I don't know at what point. Maybe it's at a certain point, but NATO is toast right now.
Wait a minute. That was just breaking. That's breaking news. You're predicting that France and Germany will turn against NATO.
Absolutely.
Wow.
By the way, I just want to put everybody on record. I've been saying that for almost 7 years. Okay.
Really?
And that's critical for that. The interesting thing is I want people to look up, and Mike, this is really important. Dimitri Duduman, Duduman, Romanian pastor. Oh, gee, Romania right now is where all the tanks are at and all the super hyper hot nuclear materials. Came to the United States, an angel, a literal heavenly angel, gave him a vision of the Russian nuclear first strike on America. And what was interesting is the angel told him the Confederation, I'm sorry, this is almost 20 years ago, and the Confederation that would come together to basically make war against the United States. And God gave him specific names of countries and left 2 off. Fast forward 20 years ago, the prophecy, 10 years ago, and I'm just telling you, I'm praying about stuff. I locked that in my heart all these decade or so, saying, I wonder what those 2 nations are. And the Lord said, the Lord. Jesus told me. And for the record, people know who have listened to me all these years. This isn't after the fact, that Germany and France will join with Russia in the attack upon the United States.
Wow. Well, you could certainly see, I think a reasonable person could see that it's justified for Germany now to, I mean, Germany should be invoking Article 5 against the United States. The act of terrorism of blowing up the Nord Stream pipelines, that was truly an act of war, but an act of betrayal against Germany. An act of betrayal this will be part of the history forevermore of a turning point that led to the destruction of the American empire, I believe.
Absolutely. And again, ladies and gentlemen, there's a very interesting group of messages in the book of Jeremiah, the prophet, the Old Testament. He basically said, when the nations of the world turn against the living God, they become a hissing in the nostrils of the nations around them. In other words, a contempt. We are held in absolute contempt. We watch the Saudi Arabians pretty much repudiate the U.S. petrodollar, and maybe you want to go there. But here's the point. Everything we've known, everything we've been blessed with, freedom, liberty, the rule of law, there is no rule of law anymore. We are in a lawless land. We're watching our fellow countrymen be put into the poorhouse, people on the streets starving to death, fentanyl filling the needles or the, whatever they're injecting or cooking to put into their veins. It's all asymmetric warfare. But the biggest issue, Mike, is that the government isn't worried about Russia. They wouldn't be trying to provoke Russia and China. We can't win a dual front war, especially when we got no bombs, we got no missiles, we don't have hypersonic missiles yet. India, North Korea, and Iran has hypersonic missiles.
We can't win a single front war. We can't.
We can't.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. You go ahead.
We can't win a single front war, and you just mentioned why, because we don't have the manufacturing capability to keep up with fighting a war requires an industrial base, and America no longer has that industrial base, and you have to have a labor base. We don't have the labor base, and you have to have the supply chain. We don't have the supply chain. We just do not have it. So I love how the U.S. State Department makes all these announcements like, oh, we'll send tanks to Germany, and I'm sorry, to Ukraine. And they say, well, when? A couple of years. We got to make them first. Okay. Oh, we'll send more munitions. What, in the future? What do you have a time machine? Are you time travelers? You're going to go to the future and get the munitions and bring them back to today? Because they're not going to do any good in 2025. If you're trying to defend Ukraine, Ukraine is over by the end of 2023. I mean, these people are talking, it's fairy tale delusions. It's like Adolf Hitler commanding his imaginary armies, through the Ardennes. So, attack from the flank. There's no army there, Adolf. What are you talking about?
Well, it's called magic thinking, okay? And magic thinking.
If y'all brothers want to watch the rest of it, I still have the link still copied. You can watch the rest of it. Like I said, it's pretty informative, but we just gonna get in the precepts, man. And as he said, Hey, EU nation is gonna join Russia, okay, against America, man. All right, this is GMS Memphis Quadash 777, Jeremiah 15:14. Put yourselves in array against Babylon round about, all ye that bend the bow. Okay, all the nations that have nuclear capabilities. And he just said Iran, okay, even North Korea has hypersonic, technology on their missiles, man. Okay. It says, shoot at her, spare no arrows, for she have sinned against the Lord. Okay, and that's the why. The Lord tells you what's going to happen, then He tells you why. America has become the mother of harlots. Okay, the source of wickedness in the earth. Okay, the homeland for anti-Messiah behavior, man. Okay, this is the brother Israelites seeking salvation, Jeremiah 15:29. Call together the archers against Babylon, all ye that bend the bow. Camp against it, round about it, let none thereof escape. Recompense her according to her work. Yeah, and say, let none thereof escape. Ain't no escape route. If you are in America, okay, during World War III, you're done. Ain't no escaping, ain't no bunkers, ain't no prepping and life after post America. Post America is gonna be a desert with no people in it. Okay, nothing's going to escape. America's gonna make a speedy riddance of America. All right, the Lord's gonna make a speedy riddance of America, man. Okay, it says according to all that she have done, do unto her, for she have been proud. You see, and this place is proud. Okay, people are proud in their wickedness, man. It's one thing that this place is wicked, but people are proud in their wickedness, man. Okay, people are proud in their folly. People are proud in being out of order. Okay, let's see. Let's see. See, you got anything? Let me see. This say something. Yeah. And this is just an example. One, it's so much. Okay, but people are all right. People are proud in their wickedness, man. And this is why missiles are coming. You see, as people, okay, celebrate wickedness, the Lord is finna bring that destruction. Okay, so let's let this madness play.
What is? Oh my gosh! This is.
Debrat shocks pal Sherry Shepherd, revealing she's pregnant. The 48-year-old rapper and her wife, Judy, shared their happy news Tuesday on Sherry's talk show.
How far? along?
5 months.
Which is congratulations. Pass my first semester. Trimester. She gotta pass my first semester.
Yeah, I didn't get nauseous or anything.
Debrat also displayed her growing baby bump on Instagram, posting a series of sweet photos, her belly on full display.
We're excited. Our
hasn't been shy about their dream of expanding their family after tying the knot a year ago.
So where are we at on the baby Brat or baby Judy journey? Is there a timeline?
We'll say this. We when we started to discuss this, we didn't realize how many different hurdles can kind of come in a way. We're excited. We are where we are. We'll give that. We are very excited where we stand and as of today. But there's
And so Locky ain't play clear, you know. But you see the madness, you know, and it's just the mindset that's here. You know, it's just one, you know, situation that shows the mindset here. But this is why the missiles are on the way. Okay, this is why the missiles are on the way. This is Brother Avalon Mawar, Joel 3:13. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come get you down, for the press is full, the fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. Okay, and this is why the missiles are on the way. And what we do, we just follow the build up, you know, to the destruction of this place, man. Okay, we're following the build up, all right, to the complete and utter destruction of America, man, and we see why. Okay, so we, you know, pay attention to what's going on abroad because hey, missiles gonna get sent here. Okay, those gonna be the ambassadors that those nations are gonna send to America. Is gonna be those ICBM nukes, man. It's gonna turn this place and everyone in it outside of the elect into a desert, man. Okay, so Lord will you brothers, all right, and you sisters were edified once again. I'm give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Kakadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great example towards younger brothers, and peace and blessings, salutations to the hopeful Lake Shalom.